What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Money Down Pod alongside my guy, Sean White, Dumpster Fire fan, myself at Kayvon_sports. Thanks so much for tuning into the big episode 90. So thank you for everyone that's followed along with us from the start. We appreciate all of the support. Like, subscribe to the video as we really start to get rolling here as NFL season week 5, man, right? Week 5 now. That's crazy. Week 6 in college, week 5, things are rolling. And I mean, I don't know how many people thought, Sean, when we looked at this schedule beforehand. You know, me and you, we're schedule nerds, man. We look at the schedule. What are the good games? What are the bad games? I don't think Al Michaels and Kirk Herbstreit thought that they were going to be going into Thursday night this week with the type of game that we had. But as the season started, I mean, everybody saw this game coming, and it went there was a part of me that hoped, you know what? You know how the NFL is. When everyone thinks it's going to go one way, it goes the other. So maybe I was like, maybe we'll get some fireworks, and not even close. That was a disgusting performance, man. It was a terrible performance by both teams, but it was an atrocious performance by Russell Wilson. I'll let you go first, man. But it's time for people to really start looking in the mirror and realize, I think, what Russell Wilson is. I don't think he's anywhere near a good quarterback anymore. I'll touch on that, but I want you to go first.
Yeah, Russell Wilson, man, that was a terrible performance. And it doesn't help that they're constantly on live TV at the beginning, and they're on Monday night again next week against the Chargers. So
Dude,
I don't understand why the schedule makers thought that was a good idea. I mean, me and you were talking maybe they go the Stafford and Rams route and the Brady Bucks route, and it takes them a few games to get going. The schedule makers were like, nah, they're going to be fine out the gate. Throw them on national TV 3 and 4 times. Terrible performance by them. I mean, the Colts are a whole different issue. How lucky can you be if you're a Colts team to pull out some of the games they're pulling out right now? They've got to feel extremely lucky, but at the same time, their fans also got to know what they are, which is a bad football team as well. But the real story here is just Wilson and the Broncos not being able to get it done. For a while, we were blaming Hackett left and right for the first of the year.
Can't.
I think it's time we got to give about a 50-50 split between the two of them right here. Not only is Hackett in over his head, which I think going for that kill shot, going for the win, we could talk about that a little later after we finish the Russ debate.
Yeah.
That was a terrible move. But the 50 split that Russ is going at, Russell Wilson's not holding his end of the bargain, and he's looking very overpaid right now. He doesn't play anywhere near to the level he did with the Seahawks those last 3-4 years. He's nowhere close to sniffing being a top 12, 15 quarterback now. He's definitely in the bottom tier of the league, and you can tell his deep ball accuracy is gone. His velocity
gone. He can't throw a deep ball. He cannot throw a deep ball at all.
His velocity's looking weak too. It's weird because he used to throw moonshots for the deep ball as well. Yep. He doesn't even do that anymore. And it almost makes you wonder if that was more of a product of DK just being able to run under that and Russ trusting that and throwing it up. But at the same time, his accuracy on those deep balls, it was almost like he was dropping a punt into a basket the way he was throwing it. And he just can't throw that throw anymore for some reason. I don't understand where that is. I don't understand what this pocket quarterback play he's doing is. He doesn't roll out anymore. He doesn't do any of that. And some people might say that's on Hackett. That's a lot on Russ as well for not even leaving the pocket or trying to escape. He's nowhere near what he was before. Kyler is actually him now. It's kind of crazy to watch a player that was perennially a top 5 to 8 quarterback without any debate just become what he is now, which is just a bad starting quarterback. And if he's not going to turn it around, this is going to be one of the worst trades and worst contracts we've seen to date. I don't think he's completely washed, but I think he's borderline in major trouble of being that right now. It's kind of scary what's going on in Denver.
So Seattle, other than the quarterback change and the rookie tackle change, there's no changes in that team other than the piece they got in the trade. Seattle's averaging 1.5 yards more per play this year than what they were with Russ. So this isn't just a Russ this year thing. Russ started falling off last year, and a lot of people said, you remember he had that thumb injury that Dak has now. Maybe it's that. Maybe it's this. Now we're looking at it. Sean, not only did you hit on perfectly, that deep ball is gone. He's not even seeing the field, man. He's not even, he's missing open guys. He is not,
yep.
we used to elude Russ as a really smart quarterback that would go through his progressions. He's not even going through his progressions. He is locking his eyes and he's just looking for Sutton or looking for Judy. He's not going through his progressions. And I don't know if this is Russ trying to prove to people at this stage in his career that he is some amazing pocket passer. But that's not what Russ ever was. By no means was he a bad pocket passer. He was always good in the pocket, but he wasn't Aaron Rodgers. And it makes me feel like they are trying to run what Hackett and LaFleur did down there in Green Bay. And you can speak to this a little bit more. I don't know how much different the Seattle offense is compared to the Green Bay offense. I mean, I know that they Seattle runs it a lot more and they don't go as much shotgun and keep Russ in the pocket like they keep Rodgers in the pocket. They are keeping him in the pocket way too much, and I don't think it's on Hackett. I think that's Russ saying, I want to be in the pocket, and that's a problem, man. He's got to get over himself. He's got to move his damn legs. He was so good in Seattle throwing on the run and making plays with his legs, not even running to get yardage, just running to escape and then finding a Lockett downfield, finding a Metcalf downfield, a Baldwin back in the day downfield. He's not doing any of that now. He is acting like he is Aaron Rodgers, and he is so far from it, man. He looks terrible, and Denver is in a big problem with that contract they gave him. And listen, everybody loves their GM out there, and he's a good GM. He's drafted really, really well. You got to give him some heat, though, for giving him a contract without even watching what Russ has done. They could have waited. They could have waited half a season. They could have waited a year and then paid him. They didn't have to do that. They are in trouble, and I'm telling you this now, and this is like way ahead stuff here. This is not only on Hackett. You said 50-50. I'm starting to even go like 70-30, man, on Russ. I am so down on Russ right now. But I think the only card that the Broncos have left is going for Sean Payton in the offseason to fix all of this. Because, see, I think he could fix Russ. I think he would make Russ go into a system that will fix him better if Russ will be willing to change it and listen. But then Denver fans don't want to hear that because that's pretty much washing their whole season away, and we're talking about next season. But I think we're at this point. I don't see anything in this team that shows me that they can turn things around. And it sucks, man, because that defense is good. I mean, that defense is awesome to watch. And Russ is throwing it away. And real quick, let's move to this here. Let's move to the two plays that cost Denver the game here. Because to me, those are both on Russ as well. I think you might disagree with me on this. Those are both on Russ. The first one is in regulation. It was like 3rd and 4, and he threw the pick to Gilmore. Why the hell are you throwing the football there? Everybody and their mother knows that the Indianapolis is not driving down to score a touchdown. There's just no way. You run the ball. If you get the first down, great, you win the game. If you don't get the first down, you kick the field goal and you go up 12-6. That's it. The Colts are not going down and scoring. There's no way. That's the first mistake, and to me, that's on Russ. He should not have forced a throw like that to Gilmore. That was just a disgusting throw. It was a terrible throw. The next one is the play in overtime. That, to me, is on Russ as well. I believe they should have ran it, so yes, you could blame that on Hackett. I think it's so dumb on that type of play. They were running the ball well on that drive to go into shotgun. But the play call was actually really good, man. Hamler was wide open. It was a great play call. Like, it was a really good schemed up play call. They got Hamler on that pick to get him open. He was wide open on the cross. And I don't know if Russ has PTSD of that play because it's the exact same play of the Super Bowl and it's the exact same route that Baldwin ran. But he didn't even look at Hamler, bro. That to me is all on Russ. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, the play in regulation, that's some rookie quarterback shit right there.
Yeah.
Like,
that's like Drew Lock.
The truth is that's like a throw that like a Zach Wilson, Justin Fields, Trevor Lawrence in their second year would make, where the fan base would be like, "Oh, you can't do that," but then you'd be like, "That's something you got to look at in film. That should never happen again." Like that, once you make that mistake, it should never happen again. Kind of strange to see Russ do that at this stage in his career. real weird to force it there. You can't do that at all. That honestly did lose him the game because, let's be honest, Matt Ryan's kind of shot. Like he
doesn't look good.
He wasn't going to drive the field at all.
No.
Colts don't have dynamic weapons, and even with Jonathan Taylor out, I mean, they can't even run the ball. So let's be honest, they weren't going to drive it down.
No.
The overtime play, I do hate being in shotgun, but at the same time, I don't hate being in shotgun. That's the offense. You run out of shotgun.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if they had A.J. Dillon and it was the Packers, they'd run it out of shotgun too and just slam it up there with him. You got to call the run play there. But you are right. He was wide open on that. Here's the thing I don't understand on Russ's read there. It's not that he didn't go to it and then double clutch the ball because like he had PTSD. He didn't even make the read. He didn't even look.
Yeah.
So that's my issue. A lot of quarterbacks on Twitter, a lot of the former players are like, yeah, I love how people are saying that he's wide open, but you don't know the read. Well, in that situation, it was literally the second read. Like Sutton was covered. He was looking at Sutton to hold the safety anyway in the play. I can promise you that's what he was doing. Yeah. Unless Sutton was just going to break wide open somehow.
You're so right.
He was there to hold that safety, and he just didn't even look over to the second read. He just held the first one the whole time. That's also some rookie and second-year quarterback shit, in my opinion. I don't know why he's reverted back that way. Maybe he didn't study enough in the offseason. Maybe he doesn't have a good rapport with the teammates. I always kind of found it kind of weird that Russ acted like DK was his best friend when DK's so much younger than him, and they kind of don't have a lot in common.
Yeah.
But man, maybe he just has no friends in that locker room, which is also possible. Just has no connection whatsoever. I know he was out there throwing with Judy and Sutton in the offseason. I didn't really see Hamler then.
No.
So I don't know. So maybe he just doesn't have that rapport with him at all. It's a weird situation worth monitoring for sure because he's got to go forward and actually throw the ball to the open spot from now on. But one thing about the offense, and then we can move on. Yeah. You said that Hackett is kind of running the Green Bay offense. After watching him a few weeks, I don't think he's full running it. I don't think actually full running that. I think Waldron and them actually in Seattle ran it more closely than Hackett's doing right now. Hackett, I'm actually seeing signs of the Bortles Jacksonville offense.
Oh, God.
Kind of scary. They don't full out run the Shanahan style. They do a mix of it with power, and then they run a lot of ISO routes outside like he used to run in Jacksonville. I don't know if that's just a staple in Hackett's offense that he loves that he carried over, but for some reason he's mixing and meshing both of them, and that's why you see Russ in shotgun so much because Rodgers doesn't sit in the shotgun the whole time when he's there with Green Bay, and you never see Jimmy and all them do. You got to actually drop back and hit the 7 steps. I don't know if Russ has worked on that part of the game enough to do that, but he stays in shotgun a lot more than a traditional Shanahan offense would, and they're going to have to figure that out because the blend isn't working. I'm definitely seeing some of Hackett's tendencies that I saw when he had Blake in Jacksonville, and that would very much concern me if I'm a big Broncos fan.
No doubt about it. I mean, look, Hackett's a disaster. I think there's no saving Hackett at this point. I think we all look and see that. I mean, look, anybody can change and he can get better, and but my issue with it the whole time was I don't even think he was that good of a play caller. I thought LaFleur was doing everything, and I was not impressed with anything he did in Jacksonville. Like that was.
Sorry, did you hear what Rodgers complimented him on? Like,
no, what did he say?
Nick Wright was like, one of the announcers was going to talk about Rodgers complimenting Hackett, and Nick Wright was just waiting. He's like, I'm waiting to hear exactly what he did good. And Rodgers' comment was like, yeah, he's a funny guy. I love to play darts with him.
That's all he could say. That's all he could say. What else is he going to say? Rodgers is straight up like that. He's like, I can't lie. So that's hilarious, man. I think that tells everything. Like, I think that this is at least my perception. After the first couple weeks, I was like, okay, Hackett's a disaster. But, man, Russ has got to be good enough to overcome it. With these weapons, with this defense, they're going to be good enough to overcome it. And with how bad the Colts played, for them not to get a win at home, I mean, dude, Sean, that's one of the worst losses you can have there.
This is me off as a Jags fan.
Yeah, I bet
the coach should be out of it.
No doubt. And I will say this: I do want to give, because you're right. Matt Ryan looks shot. He looks really bad. But I will, and this isn't saying that he was good last night. He had one of the most emotional, gutsy performances I've seen in a long time. Like, that guy was getting hit left and right. He was throwing terrible throws left and right. And he kept getting up, and he led the team on that final drive, and that's what won them the game. So I do want to give Matt Ryan some praise there. But if you're a Jags fan, I wouldn't be worried, dude. I don't see the Colts. I wouldn't see the Colts going anywhere. I think the only team that you have to worry about is if Tennessee can get their act together. But I just don't even think we're going off on a tangent. I don't think they have enough to get that going anyway. So I wouldn't be worried if I were you. But I do want to praise Matt Ryan's gutsy performance. But that's a game that Denver cannot lose. And Sean, this is a little bit of a bigger conversation that we can just have real quick before we move on here. Man, we all were dropping our pants talking about how amazing this AFC South was all year. It's not looking like what we thought. The Raiders don't look organized under Josh McDaniels. The Chargers have a lot of issues under Brandon Staley. I think Brandon Staley is a little over his head. I was very high on him. I know the Chargers have a lot of injuries, and I do think they'll get it going, but there's something that just feels off about that team. The Chiefs might run away with this. The Chiefs might run away with this division, and we did not think that was the case before the season started. Touch on that real quick, and then we'll move on.
Yeah, I picked the Chiefs to win that division because I kind of thought that would happen. Like, not the running away part of it, but I thought they would just rise and be able to take out these other three teams. But I thought these other three teams would just beat up on the rest of the league.
Yeah.
No, that's not the case at all. Denver's in deep trouble. They might be drafting the top 10 this year. The Raiders, unless they can turn it around these next 2 weeks, they're looking bad too. And I've never been a big buyer of the Chargers. I like Herbert as much as the next guy. Yeah. Honestly, I think Herbert gets a lot of credit like Andrew Luck used to a ton because he kind of carries everything around him a little bit without really other people looking at what he actually has around him, which is a lot of talent. It's just the coaching always brings him down. So when that happens, like Pagano brought Luck down, now you're kind of seeing Staley and Lynn brought Herbert down. When that happens, the quarterback kind of becomes Teflon in that situation. So that's something to watch moving forward if he catches any blame if he ever does play bad. But Herbert's such a solid quarterback. He's a top 5 quarterback in the league. And he's out here kind of fighting to make the playoffs by himself with the way the roster is.
Which
the
is
roster
crazy.
is so solid, but Staley can't get out of his own way.
No.
And I know everyone is linking Sean Payton to that job. Everyone. I don't buy that one bit.
I know you don't
pay him enough. I don't think Sean Payton's going to get the roster control that he wants because I believe that their GM, Telesco's done such a good job. He's not going to want to give up control at all. Loomis and Payton knew each other for years. They went in together. That's why they had so much control in New Orleans. I don't buy that one bit. The other thing is, too, everyone wants Sean Payton in there because they're acting like they hate the offense. They're running Sean Payton's offense.
They are.
So that's not going to change anything. Honestly, Herbert needs more of a Bruce Arians guy that lets him let it rip down the field because that's what Herbert's missing. They don't let him throw the ball far enough, in my opinion. And that the Sean Payton offense isn't going to help that. It's just going to be the same.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a really interesting point. I know that they're running the same offense, but I do think you can make the case that Sean Payton, they're running it, would make it a little bit better.
I think they need a running back. That's my opinion.
That's fair. That's fair. And we'll see. I mean, that's a conversation that we'll have to have down the road. Let's move on to the Panthers because they're talking about Sean Payton. Right now, Vegas odds for Panthers' next coach, because we can pretty much all agree that Matt Rhule is out. The guy that you think, I think last time we talked, you think that this might happen. Sean Payton's plus 400. So he's the closest odds. Dan Quinn is plus 475. Matt Rhule is plus 600. Ron Rivera is plus 1,500. And Dabo Sweeney is plus 2,250. I think you can pretty much knock off all three of those. I don't think Matt Rhule comes back. I don't think Ron Rivera comes back. And I don't think Dabo's leaving Clemson. I think that there's more names that will be involved. I personally, and I'm going to stay on this ledge. And listen, if I'm wrong, I'll admit I'm wrong. I don't see Sean Payton going there. Unless there is some underlying thing that we don't know about Sean between the Saints and Sean Payton that ended in a rough spot. And that could be. Sean Payton holds grudges. He doesn't he's a very high energy type guy. He's got a big ego, and rightfully so. If there's something there, then I could totally see him going to the Panthers and trying to stick it to the Saints. But I just don't see why a guy like Sean Payton, who can have his pick of the litter, this guy can go wherever he wants. Whatever job is open, jobs might even come open for him. Why would he want to go to this team that doesn't have a quarterback who knows? Maybe he falls in love with a quarterback in the draft. I don't know. I just don't see why he would want to go to this team unless it's for the one thing that you just keep saying, power. He can get the power there. But is Tepper going to give him the power? I don't know. For touch on that and then touch on Matt Rhule. Like, he's out, right?
Yeah, Matt Rhule's got to go. I think he gets fired after this weekend. I think the
Really?
49ers embarrassed them this weekend.
Okay.
But it's not, I think that's going to be a fireable one for them.
I hope so.
But for Sean Payton, I've been saying the Panthers for a while. I know you push back on it a lot. Here's my thing with the Panthers. I don't know if did the Saints have to trade him? That's what I'm not understanding.
I thought he is from what I read, he's under contract for 1 more year. So if Sean went to coaching next year, they have to trade him. If he waited the following year, then he can go. That's what I read.
See, that's what's throwing me with that because Matt Rhule's gone. So they would need a coach. The thing that I think the Panthers can offer is 2 things. Number one, he's going to have full control. I think Tepper would pay him $15 million a year and he'd run the show.
Wow.
It's in warm weather as well. Like North Carolina doesn't get all that cold, which is something that he put on his list. He wanted control, warm weather, and then he mentioned the quarterback. Yeah. This is where I have it. If he's with the Panthers, he's going to be in the top 5 drafting them.
Yeah.
So it's going to depend on, does he love Bryce or CJ in the draft or even a Will Levis? If he loves one of those guys, the Panthers have all 3 of the things he's looking for. So that's why I've been connecting that. That's where I've been connecting on that. I know you believe that Saints relationship is so clear. I don't know if they would want to hold that up. I don't know if he loves the Saints like that either. It doesn't really show. Maybe he really just loved Drew. Like that could be it. He could just love Drew. And for all the great time that he had with Mickey, Loomis there, doesn't it sound like Sean Payton talks a lot about wanting control of somewhere a lot for somebody that had such a good relationship with the GM?
Great point.
And I know Sean Payton also. Have you heard him mention how often, over and over, how much he loved Mahomes?
Yeah. Oh my God.
The thing that I pull from that is, isn't it kind of weird that he wouldn't have just traded up 2 spots and gotten him? Everyone knew that the Chiefs were coming up to get him. Yeah. Everyone knew that he wanted him at 11.
It's fascinating.
It makes me wonder if Loomis just wouldn't trade up the 2 spots for him, and if that caused a little rift. Now that's pure speculation.
Yeah, of course.
But
it's a good one.
But I'm just saying, I don't know if that Saints relationship is going to hold him back from going to a place like Carolina, where literally the owner is going to spend what he wants. He's going to have full roster control, and he'll have his pick of the litter at quarterback this year because they're going to be so bad. That's the reason why I link him to the Panthers a ton.
Listen, you make some fascinating points there. Those are really well laid out to the point where you're starting to twist my arm a little bit there. The Saints fans would hate that, man. I mean, they would turn on Peyton, and he meant a lot to New Orleans there. Like, I still just can't wrap my mind around it, but the things that you say are so interesting, and they could be true.
Plus, it's a power vacuum in that division once Brady's gone.
Oh, yeah, the division's going to be wide open. I mean, the division's it's going to be wide open. He could take control of that very easily because, listen, I said this from the beginning, and I'm looking really good right now about it. It could change. I said the Saints were going to be awful this year. I said I didn't understand the Dennis Allen hype. I didn't understand any of that. And listen, remember, Saints fans, Philly has their pick. I mean, Philly has their pick. Maybe they could turn it around. Jameis can get healthy. I don't know. We'll see. But there's a lot of teams that are just kind of sitting there in the South. A lot of teams that need quarterbacks. That's interesting. Let's touch on this real quick for the Panthers. Because what happens? I mean, this is such a crazy turnaround with Baker, man. What has happened to him from winning the first playoff game for Cleveland in decades to this now where he looks, I would consider starting PJ Walker at this point. I'm serious. Why not? I think Baker looks so bad, man. And I don't necessarily put it all on him. I think the offensive coordinator's terrible. I don't think they should have ever hired him. I don't think the scheme is great. He has weapons. He just can't get them the ball. Where does Baker go from here, man?
Yeah, I don't know. I think Baker might be out of the league here soon because I don't see him. He's too chatty to be a backup. If you're looking at it that way, and I don't think he's going to have the skills to be a starter. So I can't see him lasting anywhere else unless he can turn it around in these next couple of games. And I don't really see that happening either. So I feel bad for Baker. But Baker kind of dug his own hole here. You got to kind of make it work when you have the talent around you that you had in Cleveland. You talked about Stefanski all the time. Stefanski put you in great positions to win with that run game, with the O-line, with everything. And you didn't hit Odell and all that as well. You were just too noisy if you're looking at it as a Baker Mayfield fan. And now he went to the Panthers with not a lot of time to work, not a lot of time to get the relationships going. Clearly better than Darnold, I feel like, and we were seeing that in the preseason. But he's not good enough, man, and that's just not going to work in the NFL. I really just don't see him making it after this. I think he's going to be out of the league.
I think you're right, man. I think you're right. It's tough for him. I feel bad for him. And we're just going to put a pin in that for Panthers fans. But I think you might be right. I think Matt Rhule, if they get dominated at home, this is their second home game in a row, or maybe even third home game in a row losing. They beat the Saints, then they lost to the Cardinals. That can't happen. He might end up being gone. And then it's just going to be a race to the first pick for the Panthers from here, which is fascinating. So we'll see. We'll track that situation as we go. What was the next thing we wanted to hit on?
No, I think we're close to good on football because, like Brady said, it's been some bad football out there. Yeah. So we're gonna reset and get the matchups going next week. What I did want to do is, just because he's in the news and you're a former NBA scout, Kayvon did scout in the league. I want to hear a quick 3-5 minute take on Wembanyama. I got to learn to say his name.
Wembanyama.
Yeah, very hard to say, especially when you're trying to do it on air. I haven't really said it out loud. I've said it in my head several times. But I'll get there because you're going to talk about him a lot, obviously, in the future. The dude looks like a monster. I mean, he's fluid at 7'4". He's pulling up from everywhere. Yeah. Give me a scouting take on him and give me the hot button topic that everyone's going. We're already hearing it. Is he a better prospect than LeBron coming out? And you're a LeBron guy. You obviously weren't there to scout him at the time, but how do you feel that way? Because I feel like this guy right here, he's as generational as they come, the way he moves and the size he has.
You're spot on. So listen, he's listed as 7'2". He's not. He's 7'4". For some reason,
over Gobert.
Yeah, for some reason he is listed online as 7'2". And I did this whole research on it because I saw that the other day and I was like, this guy is not 7'2". He's 7'4", man. I don't know why he's listed as 7'2". He does not look 7'2". But anyways, this is a guy, and you hit it on the head. The NBA gets this once every 10 years, once every 20 years. A guy like this, Magic Johnson, Kobe, and Kobe, we didn't even know that when he was coming out. LeBron, this is the LeBron. All right. The one reason why I will not say that he's going to be one reason why he shouldn't be as hyped as LeBron is because LeBron was way more of a definite because of his size. The one thing that Big Dub, I like to call him Big Dub, but whatever, Victor Wembanyama, the one thing about him, and this is it, issue that you have is his frame. Could it become an issue in the NBA? But with the way he plays, Sean, he knows how to use his frame where it doesn't become a weakness, at this level at least. The guy, and I'm not being hyperbolic when I say this, the guy has Kevin Durant handles and a Kevin Durant shot. I do not think you're going too far to compare him to a taller version of Kevin Durant. I mean that with all seriousness, man. A lot of people are like, come on, Kayvon, that's a little much. I truly think his shot is just as fluid as Kevin Durant. And I think his handles might even be better than Kevin Durant. I actually would say that his handles are better than Kevin Durant, and his shot is getting to Kevin Durant. His handles are a point guard level handle. He can play inside. He can play outside. He can shoot outside at one of the best, maybe the best I've seen from a big man his size ever shoot outside. There is a reason why teams like the Spurs and the Thunder and the Jazz, it's going to be one of the ugliest things we've seen in the NBA. Dude, it is going to be a death race to get this guy. And what's crazy is the guy coming in number 2 in a normal year would be a phenomenal number 1 pick in Scoot Henderson. This guy is really, really good, like really good. But it's not even going to matter because everybody's going to just care about Victor. Victor is worthy of the LeBron hype. The one thing that holds it back is his frame. I worry about the frame, not to the Chet extent, because again, he doesn't bang down low like Chet does. He knows how to use his body way better. The guy just shoots better than Chet. He handles the ball better than Chet. He passes really well. The guy can see the whole floor at 7'4". It's incredible, man. I do not think people are overhyping about it. I totally get it. And if he goes to a place like the Spurs that can develop him, he really might be coming to his full. I know the roster around the Spurs aren't great, but they'll develop him really well. OKC will do well with him. It is going to be an ugly race to watch him. And I just urge people to go out and watch him, man. Like, I know you will, Sean, but people that are listening, just watch him, man. He is fun. He is really, really fun to watch.
Watched him drop 37 the other day. The dude is unstoppable. He's pulling it from like the hash mark. He was like casually just going between his legs, and he just hit a fadeaway shot from the corner. And the way he shoots, it almost looks like he's shooting a beer pong shot, like down into the basket. I mean, it's kind of crazy.
And you see how good he is dribbling, man. Dude, yeah. I am so impressed because that's the one thing I watched the other day to see. Because I was like, all right, I know this guy can shoot. I didn't know he could shoot that well, but I mean, I knew he could shoot. But I was like, how well can this guy dribble the rock? I thought he was like Kyrie out there with his handles, man.
Yeah, I was hearing Kevin Durant shot with Gobert's blocking. Like, I mean,
yeah, his defense is great.
You're hearing everything. I mean, it's really insane. You don't see this at all in football for all my football fans. Like, even the Trevor Lawrences, the Ewers, like, they always have questions still.
Yes.
This dude's so physically gifted, like at his size and speed and handle and just skill in general. I mean, it's going to be insane. Whoever gets that one pick literally did hit the lottery. It's going to be insane.
Did. It will change their franchise forever. I mean, it is like getting LeBron James. He will walk into the league and average 23 points a game his first year. He will be a menace on the defensive floor, and he's going to help everything because of how great of a teammate he's going to be, because it's not like he's just going to be a guy that can post and shoot. He can do everything. He can pass, he can dribble, he can do all of that, dude. He is going to be so fun to watch, and it's going to be bloody to get that number one pick, man.
It is.
There's no doubt about that. Anything else you want to add before we get on out of here?
We're good. We're going to be back next week going over all the games. I'm in my house now. We're going to have it right. So we're good to go.
Yeah, we got a lot more coming next week. Again, big congrats to you, Sean, for getting your house, man. Have fun tonight. I know you guys are going out to dinner. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Money Down Pod. That is Sean White at Dumpster Fire Fan. Myself at Kayvon_sports. We will be back next week. Normal days, normal times, breaking down everything in the NFL and college football. We'll talk then.